Hi, hello, and welcome to Rebel Unicorn Crafts. This video is a super quick tutorial on how to make your own DIY scratch cards. I made my scratch cards into date night scratch cards, and there is a PDF linked in the comments below if you'd like to use the same template. If you don't have the supplies I am using, you can actually check out my longer version of this video where I test a bunch of common supplies that you might have around the house, and there's probably a solution for you. Let's get into the quick tutorial. Here are my supply recommendations to start with. The first is I found that a paraffin kind of soy-based candle had the best consistency for actually resisting and protecting the prize portion. A craft paint to help obscure the actual prize portion. Don't use artist grade paint because it's too flexible. Use something like this. Then there are a ton of options for gold paints. My preferred one for this project specifically was this liquid leaf because it did coat things nicely in one shot, and so I didn't have to do multiple layers, but it is hard to clean up and it's a little stinky. So if you prefer to use something else, I also tested with this flash acrylic gold paint, and that worked pretty good. And I also tested with the Artist Loft, and if you just do one or two coats, it still works pretty well with that, but you don't get quite the same kind of crumble effect as the other two. Step 1 is to create some sort of scratch card background or template. You could definitely do this by hand, but I decided to do this on the computer so they would all be basically the same and a size I wanted. So I made these at about 5 by 4 inches each. Feel free to do your own thing, but if you want to use what I did, I'm going to have a link to the PDF in the comments below for you to use. Step number 2 is print or create them on at least a cardstock paper. So make sure you don't use just normal printer paper because when you actually go to scratch, the paper is going to crinkle, so pick something thicker like a cardstock paper. Step number 3 is to add the wax or any sort of resist that you're using to the area you need to protect on the scratch cards. And you just really want to make sure you get good coverage, so I actually tried to make sure that I pushed down pretty regularly with pressure, and I went in a few directions and added some circles so I was really getting into all the grains of the paper. Step number 4, use a matte craft-based paint in order to actually conceal the prize on the cards. Specifically use a matte paint or maybe a chalk paint, something like that. Don't use an artist grade paint because those are going to be more flexible when they dry and they won't have quite the same fun scratching experience. Step number 5 is to add the metallic paint on top of the black paint. If you're using this liquid leaf like me, it is pretty fumey smelling, so make sure you're working in a ventilated space. And you're also going to need something to either clean your brush with, like mineral spirits, or use an old brush that you don't care about because this does not come off with just soap and water. But cover those completely with not too thick of a layer, but so that you get a nice coverage. And that pretty much wraps it up. So step number 6 is to let these dry. I would let that metallic paint dry for at least 24 hours before you cut these up and scratch them off to reveal what date night you're going to have. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun making the scratch cards with me, and actually, we're going to be doing number 6. We got 6 hearts, so we're going to be learning to make pasta from scratch. Technically, we've done this so far already together during quarantine, but I want to learn how to make tortellini or ravioli, so maybe that's what we'll tackle tonight. Let me know what date night you ended up with in the comments below, and I hope that you have a magically creative day.